Welcome back to Under Oath. Craig, I don't like things. Things are bothering me lately.
You don't like things?
No, I don't like things.
Tell.
I'm getting upset about, like we talked about this person getting this and this person getting this. I mean, how realistically do people determine what's fair in a judgment? I mean, for example, civil rights is a great example. Somebody can do something to me to upset me and hurt my feelings, and they get like $8 to $10 million over feelings.
Yeah.
We got people in significant car accidents and insurance companies are going, we're not paying. And we have to fight them for years. But a city will write a check in 10 seconds.
For someone's feelings who got hurt.
For somebody's feelings.
Well,
there's no justice in that.
Yeah, there is absolutely no justice in that. You shouldn't even try to find justice in that. Those are political movements by the city or the government when they pay out. The standard default for any defendant is to deny liability, deny that you even are hurt, deny the extent of your injury. That's the standard recipe for every defense, unless it's political.
What amazes me is that the toughest thing to get to take care of somebody on is like medical malpractice. They will dig in for years, even if they're absolutely wrong. They could leave a tool in your body. And they're okay with it. I was reading about this biotech company. They sold this $949 blood test to tell if you had cancer. Well, it just started spitting an algorithm or something in the software, spit out all this stuff, and 400 customers were notified they had cancer who didn't have cancer.
That is awful. That is.
What did they get? What did they get?
Each one of them is going to have a different case, because it is going to affect each one of them differently. If you are 80 years old and you get told you have cancer, that is way different than being 24 and being told you have cancer. So even though all of their injuries are identical, it affected them differently.
But see, this is where the flip is. A lot of people don't know. They do life expectancy issues when it comes to deciding how much you should have. So would they go, the 80-year-old person would get less than the 24. But here's my problem. If I'm 80, you've affected my quality of life. And I only had so much time left.
Yeah.
In comparison to the kid goes, I'm going to be feeling this for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and a good attorney would point that out. Say, listen, that you didn't just take away someone's, X number of years. You took away the last 5 years they had. Think about eating your dessert, right? Like, you don't want the last 5 bites to be taken from your dessert. You want to finish it.
I don't know about desserts.
Oh, you don't?
I don't know about desserts. No,
I think you do.
What are you trying to say? I actually, you know something? I have a smaller waist than you right now.
Yes, that is true.
That must make you crazy.
It does a little bit. Yeah, it does a little bit. Well, that doesn't make me as crazy as both of our life insurances say that I'm obese and that you are fine. That drives me way more crazy than your waist size being smaller than mine.
That just is proof that there is a God.
That is not proof.
It is proof. It is for all the crap that you give me. I don't want to be healthy anymore. You are the perfect example why not to be healthy.
I know.
Because the hospital is constantly, the insurance companies are constantly saying, I don't know if we can do that. Well, my fat ass, they'll give me $1 million, $5 million, $10 million.
Not even think about it.
For like $12.
Yeah, not even think about it.
They're like going, well, if you want $5 million, you got to give us $5 million. Well,
pretty much, yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm thinking about when you think about this stuff is, for example, the cancer issues, everything else like that. What I hate when you have an accident dealing with the elderly, I hate how the insurance company drags it out hoping your client dies.
That is what happens frequently when the plaintiff is older. They just hope the guy's going to die.
I hate that. I hate the abuse because these insurance companies, they get on these TV shows. They're talking, all these great commercials, the good hands people, all this other stuff until they have to write a check.
Right.
And then they become heat miser from the Christmas special.
Absolutely. And if you have them as your carrier, you have never dealt with a more unfriendly company in your life until you turn to them and say, hey, all that money that I've been giving you for 20 years in case somebody hits me and they don't have enough insurance, I would like that I would like for you to live up to your end of the contract now. And they're going to tell you, I don't think so. All of those injuries, you had them for a long time before you ever got into this car accident, and you weren't hurt that bad, and it was probably your fault, and you probably were drinking.
What I hate most is the misdiagnosis. where a client will come to me and say, listen, I had this injury, but I was misdiagnosed. And because of it, I could have possibly had my cancer cured because of it. Now, I was reading a case the other day. It was the other day, it happened in 2016, about a woman who had a double mastectomy because the pathologist said she had cancer. They do it and they discover the test was wrong. He messed up the test.
The cancer test?
Yep. She never had cancer.
Jesus.
Guess how much the settlement was? What the jury awarded.
Had to be $14 million.
$400,000.
From a jury?
I don't even know how that's possible.
That doesn't sound right. In Florida?
It doesn't. It doesn't. I don't get it. And when I see these judgments, sometimes I wonder, unlikable client, bad lawyer, or evidence not allowed in.
Could have been, yeah. Well, and we don't know what test was used. It might have been that the test was so close to showing cancer or not showing cancer.
How do you not get a monster verdict on this one?
Yeah,
how aren't you able to take care of this person?
Because either the jury hates you as her attorney, they can't stand you, or they can't stand her, or the expert, they were caught up in some technicality that the defense expert brought up. They know they need to give her money because they know she's been wronged, but they don't take care of her the way you would expect a jury to take care of someone in a situation like that.
I think it's a bad attorney issue. I don't know.
Could be.
It feels like a bad attorney issue. It's so disgusting when you see this. We've had clients that are unlikable where they just thought that our client wasn't as injured as they claimed they were because they hated the client so much. But in this scenario, it's hard to get past that. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that.
Let me try and redeem the jury for the benefit of our audience and throw out a hypothetical, or at least a theory. It may be that the person who diagnosed that was a member of the Veterans Administration, okay? Or some government agency where the maximum amount that you can award is a certain limit, like sovereign immunity. So maybe it was one of those situations where the jury said, yeah, $75 billion, whatever, and the judge goes, oh, can't be that. It can only be the statutory maximum, crosses it out, puts 400. And then what gets reported in the newspapers for us to read is 400. Because that's the only way that makes any sense to me. I've done enough jury trials. I've seen enough jury verdicts to know that seems just decidedly unfair.
I mean, we have a case right now that has been going on forever. I mean, the case has been going on forever. A woman goes into surgery. They drop the scalpel breaks off in her neck. Takes 10 hours to retrieve this piece. The damage that caused, doing everything else like that. In this hospital, don't even ask me how this happened. The scalpel was 20, 30 years old?
It was so old that if it were a car, it would be an antique. And
the company that did this, basically, they were in charge of the scalpels. They created them. They're going, no, it's not our fault. They shouldn't have been using these scalpels anymore.
Of course not.
And then they destroyed the scalpel.
Yeah. Yeah, they did while they had possession of it.
I mean, and they are fighting with everything they have not to take care of this person. And all our person did was get a surgery.
Yes.
It wasn't like she
moved.
And
that's the typical defense. That's what you expect. You expect the defense to act that way. You expect for the defense attorneys to put up as many roadblocks as they possibly can.
I mean, you would think at least at the beginning they go, I wish I didn't hate the other side. You're good with them. You like them. They're nice people for you. I hate them. I hate them because they make money the longer it goes forward. That's why I don't do family law. That's why I won't allow us to do family law because I know one side wants to drag it out.
Yeah, they charge by the hour. So anytime you have one side charging by the hour, you can expect for it to be quagmired.
Anytime you can charge hourly, it just opens the door to bad stuff.
Yeah, you want tort reform instead of the tort reform that we just got? How about this for tort reform? How about on accidents under $50,000 in damages? law firms can't charge more than, say, $10,000 to defend the case. That's it. You get a flat fee.
It's painful to see sometimes, and I don't know. I think I've been practicing long enough that there are things that I've changed my mind on. For example, personal injury. I used to hate personal injury because I believe the stereotype. I believe it was all about, greed and everything else like that, until I actually got to meet a lot of the people who were hurt by this and realize how the system is skewed against people who get hurt.
Well, the system's set up to ferret out those 10% of people that lie, cheat, and steal. And what you end up having is 90% of the people, or maybe 70, depends on who you ask. But the vast majority of people who bring personal injury claims are actually legitimately hurt. They're way off now today than they were before the accident that hurt them. And because the insurance company is so jaded and used to people lying and used to people exaggerating their injuries, you get what we have now.
When you see the medical mal stuff, like I see all the time, the time frame. I mean, I think eventually they write the check. I just don't get why they drag it out 5 years. Why would you want to pay? A lot of people don't understand. These insurance companies, they hire their own attorneys. These attorneys are billing $10, $15, $20, $50,000, $100,000.
Well, you just answered your own question. That's why. They're billing in a ridiculous amount of money per hour, especially on the medical malpractice case. Think about who your clients are. Your clients are doctors and hospitals. The insurance companies that represent doctors and hospitals have unlimited funds. So of course they're not going to blink an eye if you charge $30, $40, $50, $75,000 a year in defending a case.
I always thought we might have a chance to fix the system, that you and I could fix the system.
You and I.
You and I.
How would we do that?
We'd have to. It'd be a tough decision. You and I would have to say, all right, we want to help these insurance companies. We want to jump in and teach them right and wrong. Teach them that they're going to be spending way above whatever they would settle these cases for. Because one thing I learned working for a bank when I started off, the people who pay the bills are separate from the people who are giving the marching orders to the lawyers. So they don't know, they don't even care how much it bills. I remember working for the bank and they were paying $600,000 a month in attorney's fees. And within 6 months, I got that down to about $50,000, and the cases were moving through. I dumped the days from behind, from 100,000 days down to 5,000. Within a year of leaving, they were back up to 95,000 days again. Because this level of abuse exists, and you and I started off our career where we worked for the government. And there were other attorneys who go, "Why are you trying to get this done so fast? I could have dragged this out for 3 or 4 years." I'm going, because people want their lives to move forward.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it's despicable, honestly.
Now, I get asked a lot of family law questions, and they ask me, and I hate these questions because I want to tell them the truth, but I know there are attorneys lying to them, so I don't quite know how to tell them without causing a problem. Like when they go, "How long should this case last?" I said, "Well, if you stop fighting, it can end in a month or two."
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anybody who's ever come to me asking me about family law, their divorce lasted any longer than 6 months. Because I told them, I said, don't fight over the stupid things.
Well, speaking of getting lied to, suppose you go in and have a cancer screening, and the folks who do the screening for you say, "Hey, yeah, you're fine. Don't have cancer. Live your life. Go on." 10 months later, you're like, man, something still feels wrong. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to a different doctor. Different doctor says, "Hey, yeah, you actually do have cancer." You go back to the people who did the original test. "Hey, I had cancer. What the hell were you guys doing?" "Oh, no, we knew you had cancer. We even sent you a letter." You show them the letter. The letter says you don't have cancer.
I think there are two problems there.
That actually happened to a lady. I'm not just making that up.
I know. And I know their argument, but here is my argument. They said they sent a letter. If I don't respond when you send me a letter that I have cancer, how about pick up the phone? I mean, let's say they did send the letter and it said, "I do have cancer."
Yeah.
And I don't call.
Oh, to make sure that they got the letter. God forbid some kid comes along, pulls all the mail out one day, happens to be the day they got the notice.
Or it doesn't get there.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't,
Or
postman
the mail
lost it.
grinder grinds it up on the conveyor belt. Yeah.
You think that's enough notice to send somebody a letter in the mail?
No.
Much less the letter
Well,
be wrong.
legally it is, but I don't personally, no. Morally, no. That's not enough notice.
Is it legally? I don't know if it should be. I don't know if that's the proper
The theory
level.
behind that is you have to be able to trust that the United States Postal Service is going to deliver the mail in a timely fashion. If we can't believe that's going to happen, then we can't rely on any organization.
You're talking about the mailbox rule.
I am.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
I don't know if the mailbox rule I always thought applied directly to timing.
I think the checklist for those doctors should be, does the client acknowledge that she has cancer? And however you need to get that. Phone call, return a letter, return an email. She came in, signed here.
The level of medical treatment in our country right now is pathetic. And the amount we pay for it is abusive. When we hear about, oh, we've got great insurance, we don't. You go to the hospital, it's a mill.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you don't get tested there anymore. Now you got to go somewhere else to get tested. And it's a 3-step process to do anything. I still have a problem with my foot. You think they called me to ask me how I was doing after the surgery? Nope.
What did you do to your foot?
They had to cut something off. And they stuck a needle in and they pulled some fluid out. And they go, well, it could come back because, I got the internet. And I always tell people, don't go to the internet. But some things are so simple that they have pictures and diagrams and they show, everything. And they said, listen, it's got a 50% chance of coming back. They didn't call me. Jacked my insurance company for probably 10 times what it was worth, which I hate.
Yeah.
Insurance doesn't cover anything. They now jack you all for your insurance. Makes you livid. And then when they screw up, they don't want to take care of you.
Well, how should they take care? Well, what if so let's say the screw up is something a little bit more egregious. Say you and your wife at the hospital, you have a baby, take the baby away to give it the shots or whatever. And they come back and they hand you what they claim is your baby. And you go home with that baby. And years later, you realize, wait a minute, this isn't our kid. What do you do in a situation like that?
Now, here's where it gets weird. Because we know there's a statute of limitations.
Well, it doesn't start to run until you realize. So, the kid could be 17. And you realize when the kid's 17, that's when the statute of limitations starts to run.
For the kid or you?
For both.
No.
Yeah.
No, medical malpractice.
That is a good point.
No medical malpractice.
Because the kid has a claim
exactly.
too. And the kid's claim doesn't start to mature until they turn 18.
Exactly.
And then the statute of limitations runs.
We're talking about parents.
We can talk about
medical malpractice for a parent is limited to, is it 4 years?
Well, that's the outside rule, 4 years.
4 years. That's the max. Even if I find out 10 years later.
I don't think that is medical malpractice. They didn't do something.
Are you saying basic negligence?
This is regular negligence. Yep.
So, like, for example, if you do IVF and you find out, those kids aren't mine, and they supposedly took your stuff and stuck it in your wife.
No. That if they did something wrong in the way they inseminated the eggs or the way they placed the egg inside the lady, sure, that's medical malpractice all day. If all of that went right and you have the baby and they just happen to mix it up, that they're not diagnosing that kid or treating that kid with anything in particular. They're just returning the kid to who they think the parents are.
So you think negligence won't start until I figure it out?
Correct.
So when should I figure it out? Like, for example,
my parents go, if
my parents were like, my kid's not Asian.
Okay, if it's an Asian kid, you probably should figure that out really fast. All right? But if it's not, if it's a different race, you should probably figure that out right away. Maybe it depends on, you might have a long talk with your wife.
Dark.
You might have to have a long talk with your wife.
My sister's dark. She's like brown.
But
assuming
it's the same race, you should pick up on that when.
Like, I watch a lot of Springer.
When would you pick up on that?
Remember Jerry Springer?
Yeah.
Is that my baby?
Yeah.
Maury?
And what about, you grow up with this kid. Let's say it's like 3 years before you.
I bonded. It's like my dog.
Yeah, you got this kid now, and you find out that that's actually not your daughter. Your daughter is actually with another family. What do you do?
What do I do?
You find out your 4-year-old daughter isn't your daughter anymore.
I contact a lawyer and see what I can do about it.
Do you want your other kid back, your real one?
I don't know. It depends on how crappy the kid is. This kid's
That
terrible
does not
at school.
depend on how crappy the other kid is.
It does
you
a little
want
bit.
the kid
It
back.
does a little bit.
You want your kid back.
Really?
You want your
Really?
kid back, yes.
What
and
if
you
your
want to
kid
keep
is
the one you
great?
got.
What if the kid you have is great? I got
Well, you
the
definitely
great
want
kid.
to keep that one too.
You know, he learned potty trained in like 10 seconds. He's speaking 5 languages. You know, I don't know if
At some point
I
you
don't
should
know-
realize
I
it's
don't know
not
if
your
I want
kid.
to risk it. No, I'm not. I don't know. I've had the kid long enough. I think I got to keep him. I'm used to him. He's used to me. We bonded.
No, but it's not
We
the truth.
bonded.
It's not the truth, though.
It doesn't matter. People lie to me all the
truth
time.
matters. Oh, the truth
These are
matters.
people go in my office lie to me every day. I'm good with it.
You can't purposely live a lie. You can't pretend like that kid's
I pretend
your
stuff all the
kid.
time. We do. We suck it up all the time. The internet is a lie 24/7. We turn on the news, lie. We can't help it. And you know what? We don't care.
We do care, though.
We ignore it.
No, we do.
I want to ignore
We
it.
care.
I want to keep the kid. I've had him.
Of
I'm used
course
to
you
him.
want to keep the kid you bonded with. That's not the question. The question is, do you get to keep the kid and also get your genetic kid back?
No, you don't get the 2-for-1 special. You're gonna have to swap him. And you know what? You deserve. If you get the bad kid, you deserve it.
But I don't want
You
to.
should have shut up and kept. You don't get to keep both. You think the other family goes, we'll give you.
Yeah,
we don't want
that's
yours
you got
back.
this whole other family. They're all
What if they
tangled
don't
up
want
in
it?
this too.
I guess if they don't want him. Yeah, I don't want him anymore. You take him.
Well, great. Yeah, I'll take them.
That doesn't work that way. You either give the kid up or you take the kid
No, you just
or you
said,
try
what
to
if they
figure
don't
out
want
how to
them?
have a relationship.
You just
with
said, what if they want to give them to you? And I said, okay, yeah, then I'll take them.
But you
and
gotta
then
give
you
yours
said it
back.
doesn't work that way.
them. You got to give it back.
You just gave me the hypothetical where it does work that
You
way.
got to swap it. It's like getting a coat at get the wrong dry cleaning. You don't keep both.
Oh, you keep both.
You keep both.
You definitely keep both.
Like it would fit on you. I think you have a lawsuit. You do this. You get visitation. You get all this other nonsense.